So how are you guys? Now we will proceed to the new topic, which is the rational exponents, the second topic in the radicals. And this composed of this particular three goals. First is to illustrate expression with rational exponents. Also, we want to simplify it. And after which, we will write expression with rational exponents as radical or kabaligtaran. Okay? So I hope you take note for this three goal. Allow me to define first the rational exponents. So when we say rational exponents from the word ratio, okay, meron tayong exponents na um, hindi buo. Like, meron tayong exponents dito na fraction. Okay? So, as you can see, the base b has a fraction of 1 over n. Ano ba itong 1 over n na to? Pwede siyang isulat as nth root of b. As you can see, itong n na to, naging index siya. At yung 1, naging exponent siya dito sa b. At yung base natin, naging radicand siya. Okay? So, nag-transform yung ating exponential form into radical form. So, for any number n, must be greater than 1 and any real number b for which nth root of b. Yung n natin dito, yung ating index dapat greater than 1 siya. However, b can be any number. Okay? So, now, as you can see, so this is the form. And for us to appreciate the following things, we want to apply it in the following example. So, in this example, we will write each exponential expression using radical notation. The first one is the 5 raised to 1 half. As you can see, the exponents of this base 5 is a fraction. First, we want to write this particular radical sign. And we want to write first the base. So, ilalagay yung base. Ilalagay natin yung base saan? Sa loob ng radical sign. Okay? Of course, this denominator, we will write it as our index. And the numerator, we will write it as our exponent ng 5. Okay? So, ito yung isang form niya. Pero sa itong buhay, kahit hindi mo na ito isulat, bakit? Because this is square root number. Okay? Of course, itong 1 na to, automatically, we can write it as, or we can remove it as well. So, therefore, the other form of 5 raised to 1 half is square root of 5. Okay? Next, let's try another one. Again, we will draw a radical sign here. And we will write the 15 first. Ilalagay mo siya sa loob ng radical sign. Okay? Yung 3 dito, ilalagay natin dito sa index. This time, hindi ko na siya buburahin kasi more than 2 na siya. And then yung 1, ilalagay natin dito. So, we have, how do you read this? Cube root of 15 raised to 1. Of course, dahil 1 naman to, kahit tanggalin mo na siya. Okay? Cube root of 15 is I think, the correct answer. I believe the correct answer. Now, let's proceed to the next one. How about this one? We have this particular, the quantity of xy raised to 1/4. As you can see, the xy is in group. Like, you can see that in our example. So, when we draw a radical sign here, basically, we will just, dahil pamilya naman sila, we can write it as xy sa loob ng radical sign. Of course, the 4, we will write it as our fourth root. Okay, 4 na siya. And then, yung numerator na 1, ilalagay na lang natin dito sa loob. No? Kahit huwag na siya isulat, automatic na may raised to 1 yan. Okay, so cube root of xy would be the form of xy raised to 1/4. Okay, so next, we have a raised to 1/5. Of course, as you can see, same procedure that we will be doing here. A would be nasa loob, then 5th root of a would be the correct form. Okay, so these are the first four examples. Example number 1. Now, we want to try it. We want to try your skills. Feel free to pause this video and simplify the given expression. Okay, for the example number 1. Okay, so I want you to write it on your notebook. Practice makes progress for this particular try number 1. Okay, now, let us explore this example number 2. For this example number 2, ang gagawin naman natin, we will write each radical expression using exponential notation. So, kabaliktad naman ang gagawin natin. So, ibang approach naman. Dito, makikita naman natin na ang form ng mga given example is naka-radical expression siya. Gagawin natin siyang exponential notation. So, here, gagawa muna ako dito ng, since meron tayong 5th root of xy, maglalagay ako dito ng xy. At dahil magkagrupo sila, lagyan natin ng parenthesis. Tapos, itong 5 na to, of course, yung index na yun, ilalagay ko sa baba. Tapos, alam natin na dahil magkagrupo yan, meron yan 1 na invisible dyan. So, xy raised to 1/5 would be the correct exponential notation of this particular given. Okay? Next, we have cube root of 25. So, when we say cube root of 25, we can write 25 here. And we all know that the cube root can be written as 1/3. Okay? So, next, we have 7x. 7x is magkagrupo. We can write it as 1. And then, we can write here the parenthesis. Dahil magkagrupo naman sila. At itong invisible siya, pero alam natin na 2 yan because that is square root. So, ilagay natin sa ilalim ng ating exponent. At yung ibabaw naman, we have 1 dito. So, 7x raised to 1/2 would be the case in this particular example. Now, you will know the second 3 examples of example number 2. Kabaliktad na ginawa natin. try your skills. Try your skills to convert this this three triads. Okay, so again, write your solution in your notebook because we will check that in our classroom. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part of our discussion, which is there is a procedure in writing the equivalent exponential expression of a radical expression. So allow me to read this one. The first one is write the radicand as the base of the exponential expression. Of course, the second one is get the reciprocal of the index becomes the exponent. So we can extend the definition of b raised to 1 over n to include rational exponents with a numerator other than 1. So in this case, allow me to formally define the negative rational exponent. So the b raised to m over n. In this case, para magkakaroon tayo dito ng numerator na mas malaki sa 1. Okay? So if m and n are positive integers with no common factor except 1, then for all real numbers, b, for which b raised to 1 over n is defined. So as you can see, b raised to 1, m over n. This case, yung m natin dito na numerator ay greater than 1. Okay? So it can be written as b raised to 1 over n raised to m. So as you can see, parang na-review natin dito yung power law for exponents because there is a power, naka-raise pa siya sa isa pang power. For us to be able to do that, we can multiply the m sa loob para maging m raised to n, or m over n. Okay? We can write it as a radical expression like nth root of b raised to m. Okay? Or nth root of b raised to m. Pwedeng yung m natin ay nasa labas o yung m natin ay nasa loob. Ito ay nasa labas, ito ay nasa loob. Any form of that would be the case in this particular negative exponent. Of course, to emphasize the particular definition, sabi dito, if m and n are positive integers with no common factor other 1, where b is not equal to 0, then kapag negative naman, ang gagawin natin, no, kapag in-apply natin yung negative rules for exponent, binababa lang natin yun. Okay? So, this case, meron tayong 1 over b raised to m over n. Kasi yung kanina, positive, so wala tayong ginawa. Pero dito, dahil negative na yung kanyang fractional exponent, binaba natin yun. So, for all real numbers b, for which b raised to n, raised to 1 over n is defined. So, pinagkaiba lang dito ay negative yung kanyang rational exponents. Okay? So, please take note for this particular definition because we will be using those in the upcoming example. And there you go. This is the third example, the first third example. So we want to write the rational exponents form to radical expression. So as you can see, same lang din ang procedure na gagawin natin dito. But in this case, the difference between these two is like meron tayong more than one na given dito na exponent. Okay? So we can write it as, of course, para masulat natin yung exponential form, we will write first the base or the radicand m. Gawin natin siyang base. At yung fraction natin na 2, ito yon. Ilagay natin yan dito. And yung 3 na index, ilalagay natin sa ilalim. So, m raised to 2/3 would be the exponential expression for this particular given. Okay? Now, in this case, we have 1 over 5th root of q raised to 3. So, how can we do it? First is, we want to write here the 1 over. Ito muna gawin natin. Alam naman natin kung paano ayusin yan, no? We will write the base q and then the exponent 3, ilagay natin sa numerator. And the index 5, ilagay natin sa denominator. Okay? And we will apply this definition. This definition, since nasa ilalim siya, from negative exponents rule, gawin natin siyang nasa ibabaw. Okay? So, we can write it as well as q. Ilagay ko yung base na q dito, sa ilalim sa ibabaw. Magiging negative 3/5 na siya. And then, after that, itong exponent ay magiging negative 3/5. Okay? This is the other form of this particular given. Okay? So, I hope you get the particular 2 example. Now, let's proceed to the next part. And we have g raised to 2/3. So, we can write it as g raised to, no, gagawin natin, kabaliktaran naman pala, square root of, no, hindi siya square root, that is cube root because this one is 3. And then g would be the radicand, and the exponent would be 2. Okay, cube root of g raised to 2. And also we have cube root, since this one is cube, the index would be 3. Lagyan natin ng 4 dito as exponents. The radicand would be p. Cube root of p raised to 4 would be the radical expression. Okay, so next, as you can see, as we go on, there are things that you need to practice on. From the first, yung example number 10 natin, ito yung mga examples na binigay ko sa inyo. Now, this is the time to apply this particular things. So feel free to pause this video and answer the first 2 example. Of course, meron pa yan, isa pang example. Okay, again, ito yung AB, ito yung CD. So you will write rational exponents form to radical expression or vice versa. Okay? This one, ito naka-radical siya. Gawin niyo siyang rational exponents. This one, naka-rational exponents, gawin niyo siyang radical expression. Okay? So, for example number 4. So, we want now to simplify this particular expression to the nearest hundred. So, in this case, I believe it would be great if you have a scientific calculator for us to have this particular given. Okay? So, first is, because nearest hundreds, gagawin natin siya nearest hundreds, no? So, now we want to answer this example number 4, and we have 8 raised to 2/3. So, ang gagawin natin, simplify natin expression to the nearest hundreds. Because the exponent here is 2/3, so ang gagawin natin, we want to find the cube root of 8 and then square it. So, ang gagawin natin dito, ilalabas muna natin itong 2. Gawin natin siyang exponent sa labas. Okay? So, we can write it as 8 raised to 1/3 raised to 2. Okay? Why? Kapag yung 2 na to, minultiply mo dito, parehas na naman yan dito sa 2/3 natin. Okay? The next thing is, we all know, we can easily answer this one. Okay? So, 8 raised to 1/3, we can write it as cube root of 8. Okay? Na naka-raise pa yan sa 2. Right? Now, cube root of 8, we all know that the cube root of 8 is, when you type it in your calculator, that is equivalent to 2. Why? Because 2 times 2 times 2, that is equal to 8. And there is an exponent 2 here. We can raise it to 2. 2 raised to 2, that is going to be 4. Okay, so this is going to be the answer for the first one. Okay, now we have 16 raised to negative 3 halves. Now, because the exponents is negative 3 over 2, we want to find the square root of 16 and then cube it and then find the reciprocal. So, yun ang gagawin nating proseso. Okay, so first is we want to write 1 over 16 raised to 1 half raised to 3. Bakit natin ginawang 1 over 16 raised to 1 half raised to 3? Dahil ito ay negative, we can write this one sa baba ng ating sa denominator. And then bakit naging 1 half and raised to 3 pa siya? Because yan yung other form para isulat tong particular negative 3 over 2 na to. Okay? So, bakit ko ginawang ganyan? Because we can easily answer this one. So, we have 1 over, we can write this 16 as square root of 16. Okay? Nandito yung 2, nandito yung 1, right? Then, naka-raise pa siya kanino? Kay 3. Okay? So, after which, we can easily calculate this one. Square root of 16, that is 4. 4 raised to 3 ang may iwan dito sa denominator. And when we answer this, 1 over 4 raised to 3, we can write it as 1 over 4 raised to 3, that is 64. Because 4 times 4 times 4, that is 64. And this is going to be the final form for this particular. So, I take note, iniwasan ko lang gumamit ng calculator, kaya ganito yung ginawa kong solution. Okay? So, you can apply the rules using the previous rules to answer this one without using calculator and for you to be able to simplify it. Okay. Now, in this case, we have 64 raised to 3 over 2 times 64 raised to 1 half. And we want to apply the product rule for exponents. Okay? Since the exponents are rational and we have the same base, we can copy the base and then add the two exponents. Okay? Since we have the same base, we just copy the base once again. And then ito ay parehas naman sila ng denominator, so we can easily add the numerator and then copy the denominator. So 3 plus 1, that is 4. 2, since the same, over 2 yan. Okay? And we can write it as well. We can simplify this one. 64 raised to 4 over 2. We all know yung division ng 4 over 2, that is 2, right? 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then finally, when you square the 64, 64 times 64, that is 4,000, I think 4,096. And this is the simplified form of this particular expression. Okay? So now, as you can see, there is another example na ibibigay ko sa inyo, no? Bago tayo magbigay ng try-its exercises. Actually, marami to. So, now we have 5 raised to 1 half over 5 raised to 1/3. So, what we are going to do here is to apply the quotient rule dahil yan ay division, right? So, when we apply the quotient rule, since we have the same base, we can write it as 5 raised to 1 half, okay, minus 1/3. Because the quotient rule states that kapag parehas yung base, divide mo, susubtract natin yung dalawang exponents. As you can see here, we can simplify this one. You can type it in your calculator, 1 half minus 1/3. We just copy the base 5. And then, pag sinimplify mo yung 1 half minus 1/3, that is equivalent to 1 over 6. Okay? And finally, the form would be, or the radical form would be 6 root of 5. That is going to be the radicand. And the exponent would be 1. And then we can write it, we can't write the 1 because automatically may 1 naman na dito na invisible. Okay? So this is going to be the 6 root 5 would be the answer for this letter D. Okay? Next is 3 raised to 1 half times 27 raised to 1 half. So for us to be able that, we have to apply the second power rule for exponents. So ano ibig sabihin ng second power rule for exponents? So first is, lahat ng base na to, ilalagay ko lang muna sa loob ng group. So 3 times 27. Tapos dahil parehas to na exponents, so ang gagawin ko dito, gagawin ko siyang isa. Right? Again, ang ginawa natin dito, yung bases natin, ilagay natin sa loob ng group, at dahil parehas naman itong exponent na to, gagawin natin siyang isa. Okay? So now we can simplify 3 times 27. 3 times 27, that is 81. 81 raised to 1 half. And we all know, we can write it as a radical form. So magiging square root of 81 siya. So square root of 81, that is going to be 9. And that is going to be our final answer for this letter E. Okay, so it feels exhausting. We have 2 raised to 10 raised to 1 half. And we will find out paano natin ito sasagutan. I suggest you can apply the first power rule for exponents. So, of course, we want to copy the base, 2, here. And then, gawin nyo dito, yung 10 na exponent dito ni 2, i-multiply nyo sa 1 half. So, when you multiply 10 sa 1 half, parang kalahati ng 10. Ano bang kalahati ng 10? That is 5. Okay? Or 10 times 1, that is 10, divided by 2, that is 5. Okay? And then, simplify this one, 2 raised to 5 would be 32 because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 beses, that is 32. Okay, so that is letter F. I hope you take note for the following 6 examples because may mga try it exercise tayo right after this one. And for the final set of examples, for this part, we have 2 raised to 9 over 3 raised to 6 and naka-raise pa siya sa negative 1/3. So in this case, pwede mong i-apply dito yung second power rule for exponents. So ano yung ibig sabihin na second power rule for exponents? Also, we have this 2, itong 2 raised to 9. Okay, 2 raised to 9, ang gagawin natin, yung 9 dito, i-multiply natin sa negative 1/3. So we have 2 here. So when you multiply 9 raised to negative 1/3, 9 times 1, that is 9, divided by 3, that is negative 3. Okay? So next is 3 raised to 6. Yung 6 dito na exponents, multiply natin sa 1, negative 1/3. We have 3 base here. Yung 6 times 1, we have 6 or negative 6, divided by 3, that is going to be 2. Or, that is 2, that is negative 2. Okay? So, from the definition of the negative exponents, we can write it as like this one. We can get a reciprocal of this one. Dahil ito negative exponent siya, ibababa natin siya. Ito negative exponents, itataas natin siya. So, ano yung form niya? Magiging 2 raised to, sorry, hindi siya 2 raised to, so magiging 3 raised to 2. Again, itong 3 raised to negative 2, tinaas natin siya. And then 2 raised to 3. Itong 2 raised to negative 3, binaba natin ito kasi mga negative exponent yan. Okay? Finally, we can write it as 3 raised to 2. Pwede siyang isulat as 9 over 2 raised to 3, that is 8. And this is the form, the final form. Okay, letter H. We have same bases. A raised to 1/3 times A raised to 2/3. Dahil parehas ang base niyan, we just copy the A and then add the 2 exponents. So 1/3 plus 2 over 3. So that is the first power rule for exponents. Okay, so we copy the base A, once again, add this one. Then, since parehas ang denominator nila, copy the denominator, then add the 2 exponents. So, when we add the 2 exponents, that is 3 over 3. Okay? So, A would be 3 divided by 3 would be equal to 1. Therefore, the final answer would be A. And last but not the least, we have this A raised to 3 over B raised to 1 half raised to negative 1/3. So, we can apply first the definition of negative exponents. Since ganito yan, may negative exponents tayo sa abuuan, pwede natin itong baliktarin. Okay? Dahil apektado itong dalawang ito. So, babaliktarin natin to. Ito mapupunta sa baba, ito mapupunta sa itaas. Okay? So, gawin natin, we have B raised to 1 half divided by A raised to 3. Wala na bagong sign dahil ito yung dahilan. Kasi negative siya sa kabuuan. Okay? The next one would be the second power rule for exponents. And I believe we can write it as, ito kasi mangyayari dyan, meron siyang 3 dito, or 1 over 3 dito, kasi naging positive na siya. Bakit? Kasi kinuha natin yung reciprocal nitong mga numbers sa loob. Okay? So, apply natin yung rule na yun. We have B. 1 half times 1/3, that is 1 over 6. Divided by A, 3 times 1/3, that is A raised to 1. Or the final answer would be B raised to 1 over 6 over A. Okay? So, bakit naging A lang to? A raised to 1? Because 3 times 1/3, that is 1. Okay? So, that is the 6, I think 9 examples for example number 4. And for us to do that, try this particular example. Simplify each expression to the nearest hundreds. Try this one. Then feel free to pause this video and sip of water, take a rest, then continue our example number 5. So in this example, we want to write this exponential expression as a radical. And parang ganito lang gagawin natin, no? We can write it as we can write the radical symbol here. Yan, A, lalagyan natin dito sa loob ng radical sign, would be the radicand. The 4 would be the exponents. The 5 would be the fifth root. Or, ito yung pinagkaiba niya, no? Pwede siya isulat as ganito, ha? Fifth root of A, tapos may parenthesis siya, raised to 4. Alin man dyan, pwedeng isulat na ganyang form. Okay? So, also we have 15 C raised to 3/5. So, ang pinagkaiba naman ito sa mga previous example, meron tong 15, meron tayong C. As you can see, C 3/5, ang nasakop lang niya ay si C. So, ibig sabihin, si 15, hindi ko isasama sa loob ng radical sign. So, fifth root of, since 5 yan, lalagay ko dito sa index, C, tapos yung exponent na 3 would be the numerator dun sa radical, sa fractional exponents natin. And I believe this is gonna be the final answer, or we can write it as 15, ilabas ko lang si 15 sa group, fifth root of C, raised to 3. So, alin man dyan sa mga sagot na yan, ayan ay magiging final answer natin. Okay, for us to appreciate, once again, the example number 5, try to pause this video and answer these two example on your notebook. Feel free to pause this video, and your teacher will be the one to check it in our classroom during our engagement. Okay, so we are down in the final example, finally. So we want to simplify rational expression. We want to simplify rational expression. We have 4 raised to 6 raised to 1/2. How can we do that? First, we want to apply the first power rule for exponents. So first power rule for exponents states that you can copy first the base and then multiply the two exponents. So we can multiply it. You all know that we can easily write this one as 6 times 1/2. Okay, we then copy the base 4, then 6 times 1, that is 6, divided by 2, that is 3. And after we simplify it, we can simplify this 4 raised to 3. So 4 raised to 3, that is 64. Okay, next. Letter B, 2 raised to 6 over 5 raised to 3 raised to negative 1/3. We can apply the second power rule for exponents. Dahil ito ay may parang quotient siya, we can copy first the, ang gagawin natin dito ay, pwede naman natin ito yung reciprocal, pero pwede rin ganito. Copy the base first, the 2. 6 times 1/3, or negative 1/3, we can write it as this 6 times negative 1/3. Okay? 5 raised to, yung 5, kinopya ko yung base. 3 times negative 1/3, that is 3 times negative 1/3. Yan, gusto ko lang sulat to para makita ninyo paano nangyayari, no? Kasi hindi magic yun. Dito, meron tayong 2 once again. 6 times negative 1/3, that is going to be negative 2. Okay? 5 raised to 3 times negative 1/3, that is going to be negative 1. Okay? And then we apply the definition of the negative exponents, wherein lahat ng negative itataas or ibababa. Okay? So the final form would be 2, it can be written as 5 raised to 1, kahit muna isulat yung 5, over 2 raised to 2. And when we simplify it, 5 over 2 raised to 2, that is 4. And this is our final answer for this particular example. And last but not the least, we have b raised to 1/3 over b raised to 4/3. Okay? Since the same base yan, copy mo yung base, subtract mo yung exponents. 1/3 minus 4/3. Okay? Then copy the base once again, then subtract these two exponents. 1/3 minus 4/3, dahil parehas yung denominator, copy the denominator. Okay? Then subtract the two exponents. 1 minus 4, that is negative 4 from the rules of integer. Okay? Then simplify this one, b raised to negative 4. I think hindi siya 4, no? Parang nagkamali ako dito. So that is negative 3. Okay? So b raised to negative 3 divided by 3, that is negative 1. And finally, as we write it, we can write it as well from the definition of negative exponents, 1 over b. Okay? And this is the final form of this particular example. Okay, for the final example or the final try it, kindly answer these 3 sets of exercises. Again, write each exponential expression as a radical. To simplify and write as a radical. Okay, so with that, allow me to end this presentation with this particular quote. No? Students, as we end up, mistakes are proof that you are trying. So just a friendly reminder from your teacher. Okay, so just keep going. I know it's a hard pill to swallow. Napakaraming part nito at maraming oras ang gugugulin natin to master it. But like a wise man said, practice makes progress. Okay, so now complete this one, and then in our classroom we will engage the following example for us to strengthen our knowledge in this particular topic. So see you in our classroom, students.